Welcome back to another video here on Madden 25, and today we're going to be doing a sort of experiment that I've wanted to do for a while now on the game, which is, of course, going to be testing out the different archetype upgrades you can get per position to see which one, on average, is the best one to upgrade per position. For the most part, there are a couple of positions that I do kind of have an idea that I think is the best upgrade. Like for wide receiver, Playmaker seems to be the best this year. Wide receiver, or tight end anyways, vertical threat usually is pretty damn good. Running back, if you want a juke move type of guy, you're obviously going to want to go elusive back. The same kind of stuff for defense. Slot for corners used to be really good, but there's also a lot of ones that I don't know, like O-line and quarterback and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to be testing out today. This might be a little bit of a longer video, so some of the stuff might be kind of shortened, where like O-line and fullback, we might end up just looking at the end result, whereas quarterback, I might actually show you guys the upgrades as they go through, which I suppose, let's start her off with strong arm, one of the most classic upgrades you can go for with a quarterback. It's just, used to be the go-to when it comes to throw power upgrades, which, like I said, I don't actually know if you can get them this year. I've said that a couple of times now in rebuilds and whatnot. I don't feel like I've seen like any speed upgrades for any position or throw power for quarterback. It's just, I'm not sure what it is. It's just maybe they've just decided to change it, because in fairness, in real life, how do you really get faster? How do you really get stronger after being in the league for so long? Not just the NFL, but like just in football, after a certain point, you kind of have your physique to the point where it's like, okay, this is ideal. This is ideal. Of course, it's actually going a lot quicker than I thought, so maybe it's not going to be as long of a video as I thought, in fairness. But here you go. We have 10 upgrade points for Joe Milton. We also had a baseline I didn't actually show you, but we had a baseline of about like 75, I think, for the throw powers. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Not 75 throw power, 75 for the accuracy. But after 10 upgrade points, we basically got, on average, about 5 upgrades per upgrade. But looking at this, pretty low stuff, right? Medium was definitely the most common, with 15 upgrade points to mid accuracy, 8 for under pressure, 9 for play action, 3 for break sack, 5 for throw on the run. Awareness was at 3, deep at 2, and short at 4. So, of course, little weird that you're not seeing deep accuracy upgrades from strong arm. The reason why I wanted to do 10 upgrades is I feel like even 10 might not be high enough, because we've had upgrades where, we do 1 or 2 strong arm and we get a +1 or a +2 to deep. So the fact that we only got 2 here tells me that, it is still going to be an imperfect situation, but it's going to be, about as perfect as possible. So we were a little disappointed by the strong arm archetype, but we did get a lot of medium accuracy, which is probably the most important accuracy to get up. So in fairness, compared to how some of these other ones might go, it could still be the best and go-to archetype. Now, we're going to be testing out Field General, which just so happens to be the scheme fit for Joe Milton here. Now, the reason why if you haven't watched our Saints franchise, you're wondering why Joe Milton's even here. I decided, I'm going to go with the Saints, and I'm going to test out some of the players that we have as well. I didn't go for some of the other future guys, because I don't want to spoil it, potential players we go for, but yeah, Joe Milton's obviously one of the kind of day one guys we traded for, and I want to see kind of what the best upgrades are to potentially go with for him. So far with this Field General archetype, though, gotta say the ratings seem a little low. Maybe they aren't, and maybe it's just the other one seems so good because we had that 10x, if you will. Field General seemingly a little less of the actual accuracy ratings, in my opinion. It seems like a lot of play action kind of stuff, but once again, I might be wrong here. Obviously, starting off as a 69 overall Field General means that he probably won't actually get to that 80 overall, but that's fine. I'm not really too worried about overalls. It's all about the actual ratings themselves. 79 overall, so it seems like he went up 10 overall, same as the other Joe Milton, the strong arm Joe Milton. A little bit more balanced here, but I will say it seemed like there was less of the good upgrades. Sure, you do see 51 upgrade points, which is 2 more than the other side, but mid-accuracy was a lot lower, right? Which, once again, I think is the most important accuracy. Sure, you want deep accuracy. I guess you want short accuracy, but the most common throws you're going to be making are likely going to be short to medium, and the medium ones are going to be harder than short. So obviously you want that medium to be the highest because they're going to be the toughest and more common passes you're making. Short accuracy at 11 is good. Under pressure at 12 is really good. Deep accuracy, ironically enough, a Field General was higher than the strong arm by, several upgrades, about triple the the commonness. I will say this is a pretty good upgrade if you want that balance, which is kind of what we expected from Field General. I will say that with Strong Arm, I was expecting, a lot more for the deep accuracy. Didn't really see that, but Field General, I think, would easily, in my opinion, even with the mid accuracy being lower, be a better upgrade than Strong Arm was so far. And I gotta say, I'm doing Improviser so far, and even though it's not actually upgrading this specific archetype itself too much, have seen the upgrades kind of like double at times, which has been kind of interesting to look at. We have 5 points left, and yet he is 75 overall. And then we have a couple of those where we just have no upgrades going for ourselves. So telling me maybe another decently balanced set of upgrades. Improviser is moving up 78 overall now. Haven't seen a speed or anything like that. So I am starting to think that maybe speed/throw power upgrades just don't exist anymore. Like I said, I think it does make sense, but it also is kind of like, the Madden lover in me is kind of like, oh, kind of sucks. The most upgrades so far, though, with 55 upgrade points. And I got to be honest with you, outside of deep, this is probably the best upgrades we've seen, right? Break sack does kind of suck. I will admit it's almost useless. But throw under pressure is great. Throw on the run's great. Throw short is, okay. Medium was right up there with strong arm. And then deep, the same as strong arm. So I would still argue Field General was the best, but this was a really good upgrade. And honestly, a little surprising to me. And we are now on to the worst upgrade, in my opinion, for the past lot of Maddens. Is Scrambler. Improviser and, the previous Maddens really gave you a lot of throw power upgrades on top of accuracy. Scrambler was really just your best way to get, Excel, agility, as speed upgrades. But like I said, I don't feel like there is those speed upgrades this year. So this might be the worst, but maybe it'll shock us, as so far these upgrades don't look too bad. And we can see here Milton with his final upgrade to Scrambler gets to a 79 overall. I gotta be honest with you, I think the upgrades could be the most we have seen, but as far as pure accuracy goes, I think it's going to be the least we have seen. Very close to the most at 54. And weirdly enough, even though we didn't get any throw deep, it wasn't actually half bad. 9 to mid, 9 to short, 12 to throw on the run, 9 to under pressure, 8 to break sack, 4 to awareness, 3 to ball carrier vision. Very disappointed in this one. Very disappointed, not just because of the accuracy or whatever. I'm really disappointed that we didn't see, stiff arm, truck, juke move, those kind of ratings. Our juke move and all that is so low. It's at 56, and it's at 50 spin. You would think because of those ratings being so low that we would actually get some crazy upgrades here. We got 0. So basically, it's impossible to upgrade a quarterback's juke move and all that. It's basically impossible, which that I don't agree with. Speed, throw power, I kind of get, right? It's kind of hard to increase those base athletic ratings. But juke move and all that, you can absolutely get better at. You definitely can. Obviously, most players' builds do play a big factor in that, but you can definitely get better with the technique. And unfortunately, you can't in Madden. So with this one, I would argue Field General is back to reigning supreme. And of course, there are some question marks with ability slots and whatnot. Field General has always been pretty decent, inside Deadeye and whatnot. Whereas, what do we got? Oh, you can't even get that with that slot. But yeah, I would say Field General, pure ratings wise, is the best for quarterbacks. We now move on to running back. Now, this one in a couple of other positions, like O-line, debatably edge, debatably corner, is going to be a little different because it's yes, you want to see how many upgrades you can get to the max, what's the most upgrade points and all that. But obviously, it also depends on what kind of back you want, right? If you really like a power back, you're obviously going to want to go with power back. It's a no-brainer because those are going to be the trucking and stiff arm ratings. But if you like an elusive back, you want to go elusive. Or if you want a catching guy, we're going to test if it's even worth doing that because a lot of times, even when you max this out, you don't get that many upgrade points. But I guess the argument would be, can you get speed for running back, agility, excel, and how often you get those per upgrade? We are going to start out with elusive back on Kendre Miller, and we're going to see how high he gets. And I got to say, it starts off pretty strong with a 4 to juke move. And with 10 upgrade points, believe it or not, Kendre Miller goes up 10 overalls. Let's take a look at the progression history. So we get 48 upgrade points through 10 upgrades. So just about, once again, that 5 upgrades per, upgrade point average. Looking at juke move and spin move, I am a little surprised that spin move caught up. I usually do see more spin move upgrades than juke move, so this does kind of track with my experience in the game. But one of the big things is only 2 to break tackle. our base break tackle is only at 75, which usually rookies are about 75, 80-ish. So that's not really a good upgrade when it comes to break tackle. That's that kind of auto juke you usually get. And I don't know. I feel like could have used a little bit more there. 13 to juke move is great. 15 to spin move is great. Awareness, ball carrier vision, don't care too much about that. Change of direction, only going to 1 is definitely surprising as well. And then 4 to carrying. So definitely just seems like speed upgrades might just not exist. But not a bad starting baseline for the running back position. And the pains of power back really showing themselves as we go 2 power back upgrades and he doesn't upgrade in overall. Obviously, a lot of that does play the fact that his highest archetype is elusive back, so arguably, you have to base it off of his starting power back ratings to where he finishes, but still kind of falling behind on that as well. About an overall behind, if you will. He should be a 75 here with 5 upgrade points spent. But so far, power back is, for the most part, outside of that upgrade, about as lackluster as I have personally also experienced. Powerback also did kind of make a little bit of a comeback. We ended up only being short 1 overall, as he is a 79 overall. Powerback started as a 70, I believe. But yeah, looking at Powerback, definitely way less upgrades than we've seen with Elusive, and not even really that great of other upgrades. Agility, ironically enough, showed up here where it didn't show up in Elusive. Also, break tackle. If that's something you're really missing, if you got a guy that's already good juke move, spin move, and his break tackle's not that good, this is kind of the route to go. 11 to break tackle, 9 to stiff arm, 11 to trucking, 6 to carrying, 1 to ball carrier vision, 1 to agility. You obviously compare that to the juke move and spin move, and there was less of the truck/stiff arm than the juke and spin move. So definitely not as good, but obviously, we kind of just wanted to see what this is because it's all about preference. Once again, if you have a running back that's 60 trucking and like about 75, 80 spin and juke, it's kind of pointless to go trucking because you're just going to have a guy that's mid at both rather than potentially elite at one. All right, it's time to go receiving back, which he starts off as a 60 overall. So in theory, this should actually be a skewed kind of analysis because it seems like the lower overall the ratings are, the more chances you have at getting like those crazy upgrades. We've seen a couple of guys get 2, 3 overall upgrades off of a single upgrade point, but so far seemingly pretty average, nothing absolutely crazy, but also looking decent. All right, so receiving back, I believe he got to 70, so he got those 10 upgrade points like all the other guys have. I think trucking might have been 1 less or power back 1 less, and I will say, the medium and deep route didn't really get there, but everything else, pretty fair for a receiving back. If you really need receiving upgrades, let's say you drafted a generational running back out the gate, you end up getting trucking and elusive, pretty high, 90 overall for both. I guess receiving back isn't so bad, right? 14 to catching, 11 to short route, 8 to spin, 6 to juke move, 7 to release. I do say, though, personally, unless you have that rare situation like I talked about where you get a guy that's generational running back out the gate, you get so many upgrade points, everything's basically maxed, I would almost never go receiving back. It's just not worth it, right? Like, you're not going to throw, even if you throw to your back that many times, look how many upgrade points we went with there, and he's super mid, right? His route running's not that great. He's basically just a flat route screen type of guy anyways, and most of the time, you could have the worst running back in the world at catching. They're going to catch it more times than not. It's just not a worthwhile upgrade point. And now we get to one of the more fun ones, and that is wide receiver, Rashid Shaheed. I don't even know if I want to go Playmaker at first because in my opinion, it's going to be probably a landslide victory for Playmaker. So I think, you know what, we will go Playmaker first because then we'll have that baseline, right? Well, not even really a baseline, but we'll have that rating to beat, if you will. This is going to be, I think, a landslide Playmaker. Maybe you're going to see some... Maybe you're going to see, deep route specifically is better for deep route, but Playmaker just seems so good this year. Look at these ratings. This might get into, the 90s. It's, damn near 10 per upgrade. It's kind of crazy. All right, so I'm not even sure what actual, starting point we had, but yeah, he's ridiculous. I think it was 73 overall was our highest. So 14 overalls was the highest upgrade points. 123 upgrades through Playmaker. This is ridiculous. 14 catch and traffic, 18 deep route, 9 medium, 14 release, 9 to short, 12 to spec, 4 to ball carrier vision, 2 to break tackle, 9 to carrying, 10 to catching, 2 to spin, 3 to awareness, 8 to juke, 1 to awareness, 1 to catching traffic, another 1 to catching, deep route, release, spec, trucking. I mean, unbelievable stuff. I mean, it's just like, it glitched out. That's how freaking hard it went. And I gotta say, deep threat not starting off too strong. I don't know what it is about Playmaker this year. Last year it was really good too, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't as broad. Like, you were getting quite a bit more like jukeability ratings with Playmaker, in my opinion, but this year it's like you get everything, and you also weren't getting as many speed upgrades. Deep threat was the best way to get speed upgrades, but since speed upgrades seem to be a thing of the past in general, yeah, I mean, we kind of expected it. It's going to be Playmaker. I'm honestly, you know, I'll show you probably slot in the physical, but yeah, I just don't see how you, no matter what you need, even if it's just release, there's no point not to do Playmaker. It's just so good. Not saying the other ones aren't decent, but it's just not comparable. But yeah, Deep Threat, not a bad upgrade set. Comparing to Playmaker, it's about half the actual upgrade points. I don't even think Deep Route was even as good. It wasn't even as good of Deep Route in general. And this is literally Deep Threat. So yeah, I mean, we'll show the other ones, but it's going to be pretty pointless. All right, slot upgrade. 71 upgrade points. So pretty damn good, actually. Not bad. The big problem is not seeing any release upgrades, like literally at all. So release being one of the more important ratings to get developed is not going to come through slot, which means that it's even worse debatably than Deep Threat. And to no one's surprise, physical doesn't compare to Playmaker either, but also as expected, the release upgrades are pretty damn solid. So this year, don't do anything for wide receiver but Playmaker. It doesn't matter what your ratings are, what your base is, what you're trying to upgrade. Playmaker is the best across the board. It just doesn't matter. It is the end-all, be-all, perfect upgrades. We now move on to tight end, and even though we know for a fact that blocking is not going to compare to vertical threat or possession, I'll obviously show those upgrades because it's not all about just, well, I've got 10 upgrade points. Do I use them all on vertical threat? Do I use them all on possession? Do I use them all on blocking? You might be like, hey, my tight end's got 58 blocking, and he kind of misses his block assignments a lot. Should I upgrade that run block? Blocking a little bit. If you see the upgrades are pretty decent here, you might be like, you know what? I think it might be worth it. Maybe an upgrade point or two. But I will say, I think vertical threat's going to be the best here. But without those speed upgrades, it could be possession. We'll find out. All right, here we go with the upgrades. Jawan Johnson with 103 upgrade points using 103 upgrades using 10 upgrade points. All on vertical threat, of course, a very large multitude of different upgrades. Actually gonna have to really pay attention to this one compared to possession because there's just so much going on here. You can see a lot of medium route running, a decent bit of catching, some break tackle here and there, with 5 trucking. That's actually pretty damn significant. 5 juke moves, not too bad either. I will say though, where is the medium route? 12. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it does seem like this is going to be probably impossible to beat possession-wise. You're probably going to see a little bit more in the catching, maybe even spec catch department, but overall, that's a really good set of upgrades. I am actually surprised that was that high. I mean, usually the tight end upgrades are pretty damn high, but I still expected less quality of upgrades, but no, they were very good. All right, let's take a look at that comparison. Definitely a lot less. I'm trying to look at some of my comparisons here, and I will say the route running does seem to be a bit better. 14 short route here when we only seen 8, I believe, on the other side. Mid comparison was 12 versus 12. Did we even see a deep? I don't even know if I see a deep here. Not that there was that much on the other side. I think it was 4 for the other side. Trucking was 2, so a little bit better of the break tackle stuff, but I gotta be honest. This possession side, it might be better. The route rating's a little bit better here. I'm not sure really where the big differences come from. There's a little bit more blocking for vertical threat as well. I guess the block and release kind of helps with that, beating someone downfield, perhaps. But yeah, a little bit less in the tackle break stuff, but apparently more route running. I mean, based on what we've seen, by 6 short. So I might actually go possession going forward with tight ends. That's a little surprising. Wow. All right, let's take a look at these blocking ratings. Of course, 59 upgrade points and only a single catch rating with 4 catch in traffic, nothing else. Once again, we already knew this was going to be garbage. I did not expect it to be this garbage, though. This is really lazy coding. I'm going to be honest. This is really lazy coding. You're getting 4 run block through 10 upgrades to run block to blocking. Like, where is anyone going to see that as an up? Like, we could have gotten 30 run block, and I still don't think it's worth it. And we got 4. Explain to me why anyone would ever do blocking. It's just stupid. We knew it was going to be ass. I didn't think it was going to be this ass. Then again, maybe a base run block doesn't matter that much. We still, I don't think, have ever been confirmed what the base run block and pass block ratings do anymore when you have those run block finesse, pass block finesse, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure. Maybe this is actually still a really good upgrade because you get that, 14 run block finesse, 7 run block power. Maybe it actually is really good of an upgrade because the base ratings don't matter anymore. But if they do, then +4 to run block is obviously horrible. And here we go with the offensive line. This is going to be another situation where it's going to be about your preference, similar to running back, where if you have a guy, like obviously here we made baseline ratings, but if you have a guy that's like 85 pass block power, 84 pass block, or not 84 pass block power, 85 run block power, and you want that balance, you're obviously going to go agile, right? Because you need to get that finesse type blocking. But if your plan is you got a guy like this that's kind of bad at both and you don't want him balanced, you just want him really good at one thing, then we'll find out which upgrades give you the most. Now, my argument is always, well, if you have a tackle, mainly get their finesse blocking up or their pass protector up in general. If you have an interior guy, power blocking is going to be your best bet. But like I said, if you just want to see the highest overalls, the highest upgrades you're going to get per one, we're about to find out. And no, I'm not a moron. I know that we had 13 skill points, so I stopped at 3. So don't be like, oh, you did 13 upgrades. This is what 10 upgrades gets you. Just about 5 per, as expected. The base blocking, once again, don't know for a single, for sure confirmed fact if those ratings actually do anything or if it is the power blocking / finesse blocking itself that overrides that. But if you are looking at that stuff and it does make a factor, play a factor, 6 to pass block, 5 to run block, 5 to impact, 11 to lead block, 4 to awareness, and then, of course, run block power and pass block power at 14 and 8. So, power blocking, straight up, it's going to be the best way to go, obviously. All right, pure upgrade ratings. Agile is definitely better. It is definitely better, but once again, it's all about which player. Wow, look at the base ratings, actually. The base ratings went crazy. 10 more to run block. Another, 8 more to pass block. Lead block was 3 less. Impact was 2 more. Pass block finesse was 7, which would actually be 1 less than the power blocking we got on the other side. And then run block finesse was 11, which would be 3 less. But if you're looking at the base ratings themselves, if those do mean something, it was significantly higher for run block and pass block. If not, though, still obviously, if you want a finesse guy because it's a tackle, whatever, you're going to want to go agile. Now, the big question is pass protector. It's a little weird that you have power blocking, finesse blocking, pass blocking, but no run blocking. It's definitely a strange one from EA. Maybe a little laziness, I'm not sure, but let's take a look at pass protector. If it's not better than the other two, that is going to be embarrassing. All right, here we go with pass protector, and let me tell you, this is ass. Never do pass protector. This was disgustingly bad. It's just not worth it. It is just not worth it. I don't care that you're getting pass block power, pass block finesse, pass block itself. Unless you literally have like every run block rating in the 90s, it's not worth it. It's terrible. That is pathetic. We are now into the fullback position. Now, this is going to be another one that, in my opinion, doesn't really matter too much. But if utility gives you a lot of catching ratings or break tackle ratings, it might be worth it. Now, the big thing with this position is I feel like it doesn't matter how smart or how good your fullback is. From what my testing has been, it's really all just about speed because your fullback's going to miss all the time anyways. It's about how fast your guy can get out there in front of blocks. That's the main importance is speed, which position doesn't really have that as its main importance for the most part. But we're still going to take a look. We're going to compare them. I would guess, though, as usual, though, utility probably is going to be your best bet. I used to go blocking, but I think utility is your best bet. All right, here's the upgrades for utility. 76 upgrade points, so a lot of those. 10 to catching, 14 to impact block, only 3 to run block, though. Trucking goes up 6, stiff arm at 8, strength at 2, bulk evasion 11, break tackle at 2, pass block at 1. Very weird upgrade set where, yeah, you're kind of getting the catching, the juke ability stuff, but it's not significant enough to really be like, is that really utility? It kind of feels like just a crap blocking one. There we go. Comparing to blocking, similar in the amount of upgrade points. You get that 7 run block, 13 to lead block, impact at 6, 3 to carrying. I gotta say, I mean, the catching's at 5, the trucking's at 4. There's really no point not to go blocking, right? It's very similar, and unless you're really throwing to your fullback a lot, I mean, I guess the biggest value you're going to be getting is from blocking. So I suppose blocking is the better of the two. Not going to get speed upgrades this year for any position, so there's really no point in doing anything but blocking for a fullback. We're now on to the defensive side of the ball, where I think we are going to be starting with edge, Mr. Isaiah Foskey. Surprisingly enough, though, with him being an X Factor at 20, I don't even know, I think we have him at 21 years old. And then Howden as an X Factor at 21 years old. With 300% sliders, didn't really get that many upgrade points. Although, ironically enough, Demario Davis, who we put down to like a 20-year-old, he got like 20 upgrades in the first few weeks. So, I'm not really sure what's going on there. Maybe the edge/safety positions just get less XP. I'm not sure, but let's find out what is the best. Of course, run stopper for an actual edge is probably not going to be something most people are going to do, but what I have seen is seemingly Speed Rusher seems busted this year, so let's see how busted it truly is. And as I kind of expected, finesse is just insane. As you can see here, we get 13 power move upgrades while going for finesse. 15 actual finesse upgrades with 17 block shedding. Absolutely a busted upgrade set, especially with 7 hit power on top of it. Some tackling, some pursuit, some awareness, a little bit of excel. Finesse looks unbeatable from where I'm sitting. All right, here we go. We're about to find out some disgusting things, and that disgusting thing is that power move is horrible. We got 2 whole power moves higher going power rusher, despite the fact that we had a massive 17 less block shed upgrades and 14 less finesse upgrades. It is without a doubt the most busted thing to do this year, which is speed rusher. We'll do run stopper just to see, because, you know, maybe you already have good power move or finesse. Let's see how good block shedding is. All right, here we go. The run stopper archetype, which ironically enough didn't even give us more block shedding than going finesse. So at least for edge, finesse is the way to go. No matter what style you want. No matter if you want your guy to be a pure block shedder, run stop type guy, a power move guy, finesse, it doesn't matter. Just always go speed rusher. It is just by far the best. Here we go, Brian Brzee. We're going to be starting out with the finesse here as well. We're going to see what we get. So, of course, the morale is up there, but the morale doesn't matter, right? You still get those upgrade points anyway. 75 finesse, 75 power move, 75 block shed. Feel like that's a pretty good baseline to kind of see how high we can get this fella. But let's go speed rusher. And here we go. You know, more evidence of that whole finesse is just the best. We got 15 to block shed, 13 to finesse, 8 to power move. Not as egregious as edge, but still, even if you want your guy DT to be power, it seems finesse might be still the best way to go, especially with that block shedding. Unless power actually gives you way more block shedding for DTs than it does for edge, I think just finesse is just the way to go. Now, weirdly enough, power rusher has actually kind of had a finesse type upgrading set here. This might be very comparable. 14 block shed, which is 1 less than we did with power move, or with finesse move. Power move 16, which is of course 8 higher than the finesse moves. And then for the finesse moves, it was 10, which is 3 less. So believe it or not, power rusher actually was better. Now, I didn't really pay attention to all the other ratings. Those other ratings don't really matter as much as the main finesse, power move, block shed type of upgrades, but for DTs, it kind of seems like you can just choose whichever one you want. It seems to be good either way. And now we look at run stopper, which wasn't as good, obviously, as the other two, but also surprisingly still pretty good. Block shedding, I think it was the worst out of the bunch. Power move, 5, not that great, but 14 finesse upgrades. I think just honestly with DT, you can't really go wrong. But it's kind of similar to running back where, just go whatever you need the most. Is they're all actually pretty damn good. You got a finesse guy, or especially as a DT, you want finesse up the most because, interior guys are more power defensive, which means that you're going to have that advantage with a finesse move, defensive tackle, interior, defensive end. So, choose what you want with this position. There's no real, meta, where wide receiver playmaker is the best, We're now going to move to the linebacker position. We do have to go with 2 of these guys, not only as, an outside linebacker can be an edge rusher, of course, but also the outside linebacker position does not actually have field general. So I guess we're going to start out with middle linebacker. In the past, field general has been the best, but I do think pass coverage has been improved quite a bit. So it actually could be another case of what do you need the most rather than, field general used to be the meta. Just go with the meta. All right, so maybe we're wrong. Field general still seems pretty damn meta as you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. You're getting some zone, you're getting some man coverage, you're getting some block shed, 10 to man, 10 to block shed, 8 to zone coverage. Play rec's great with 14, 3 to pursuit, awareness at 4, tackle at 8, agility at 1. Once again, speed, excel, agility, change of direction seems to be kind of rare. So unfortunately, not seeing any of that yet, but the meta might still be the meta. All right, let's take a look at these pass coverage upgrades. As you can see here, 14 to zone, 13 to man coverage, 11 to play rec, 5 to tackle, 3 to pursuit, 1 to awareness. I think it's pretty obvious to say that you definitely, unless you just have goated block shed, which, I don't think there's a single linebacker in the game with 90-plus block shed, you want to go field general, right? You're gaining, 3 to man coverage. I will say 6 to zone is pretty significant, but you're not getting that 10 to block shed. You're getting a little bit less play rec, it seems. Tackle, about the same. Pursuit, about the same as well. But I would still say field general is the best if you're trying to make a balanced player, as obviously you're just not getting block shed at all here. And not really seeing any agility, excel, or speed changes with pass coverage, which is where you would expect it to be, right? Because, in coverage, you got to be a little more athletic more often than not. But, looking at it so far, field general seems the best. Finally, though, on to run stopper. And run stopper seems terrible, by the way. It seems horrible. No block shed upgrades. Coverage is non-existent. You get more tackle for sure and pursuits up there. It's just terrible. Run block and run stopper, don't do it. Just don't do it. We'll see if it's any different for outside linebacker, but no. Do not do it for a middle linebacker. Field general or pass coverage, probably leaning towards field general like we would have expected. But wow, run stopper was horrible. All right, the first thing we did for the outside linebacker position is go speed rusher, which was able to give us 14 finesse move upgrades, which is pretty damn good if you're going for an edge rusher that is, a finesse type. That's not bad. Through 10 upgrades, you're getting a little more than 1 finesse per upgrade. Of course, the power move, you also got 8. You got 8 power move. You got a little bit of coverage, not much. 1 to man, 1 to zone coverage. Pursuit's up there with 8. Tackle at 7. Not a bad set of upgrades. It's only 46 points, so less than 5 per. But you're getting some meaty ones. 14 finesse. The power move at 8. A little disappointing with block shed non-existing, but yeah, that's where you stand. All right, we just finished power upgrading now for the outside linebacker position, and this one doesn't look as questionable. This one looks like a lot worse than finesse, really. Yes, you get 5 more power move, but you're also getting 11 less finesse. You might as well just go finesse upgrade just to get your guy to be good at both. I mean, why not? Unless you got a guy that's like 80 power move, 50 finesse move, which is so rare. Like, most of the time you're going to get a guy that's like 78 power, 68 finesse or something, which is still usable. You might as well go finesse, I think, personally. I mean, you're just not gaining that much more in power rusher than finesse to not go for both. Like, imagine having both moves and being able to use her and really just get to the quarterback with whatever move you want. Finesse, I think, is better than power move for the outside linebacker position. All right, outside linebacker, run stopper. Coverage obviously non-existent. Block shooting at 12. It seems like run stopper in general is just not very good for coverage linebackers, simply put. All right, pass coverage. And what I'm noticing here is that you've got pros and cons for each side. You know, if you're running a 4-3, you're going to get the better edge rush upgrades. But if you're running the 3-4, you're getting the better linebacker upgrades because, right, you're going to have the 2-minute linebackers that can get field general. Whereas here, the linebackers, if you want them to be good at both things, you're going to be taking a bit of an L. You know, field general, you get both pretty equally, probably like 60-40 when it comes to, you know, different the different styles. But for this, it's like, you know, 99-1. You know, you're getting mainly one thing, which isn't necessarily bad. But yeah, if you're trying to get, you know, a dual style guy, you're going to probably struggle pretty hard for the actual outside linebacker position in 4-3. But once again, with those edge rushers, you're getting dual guys. You know, power and finesse are going to both be really high by the end of it, whereas you're not going to get that for your outside linebacker edge rushers. So, you know, that terminology is once again costing the game a little bit. But as far as linebacker goes, I mean, obviously it kind of depends if you're off ball or not. It's going to be like running back. I think you're getting more quality upgrades from pass coverage, but if you've got a guy that's decent in coverage or you got a guy that you just want to be good at block shedding, you're going to obviously have to go run stopper if you want those upgrade points for block shed. But yeah, it's another running back situation where you have to decide what do you want your guy to be. But now we move on to the defensive backs. Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be our test subject, if you will. We're going to go man-to-man first. I think slot's still going to be the best, but it might be a little bit closer than in previous years. We'll find out. All right, we've used our upgrade points, and as you can see here, not getting a whole lot of zone coverage, but a ton of man coverage. 17 to man coverage, 16 to play rec, and a massive 10 to press. Only one to catch, and then once again, no speed, no excel, no change of direction, no agility type upgrades. All right, here we go with zone coverage for McKinstry. He gets 15 to zone coverage, 4 to man coverage. Very similar to the man coverage upgrade, obviously flipped. The big thing here, though, is way less press, but also, could just be coincidence, 1 to excel, 1 to agility. So not a bad upgrade set, but obviously if you want your corner to be good at press, which most people do, man coverage definitely beats zone. All right, I'm hoping that slot doesn't let me down. This is kind of the go-to for years now. Press, similar. Man coverage, sort of similar. Zone coverage, also sort of similar. I gotta say, I'm still thinking man coverage is probably the way to go because you're not seeing like the speed, excel, agility type of upgrades. I think in general you might have seen a little more pure upgrades, but overall, more play rec on the other side, more press, obviously more man coverage. Zone coverage, the same. I think man coverage, no matter what style you're trying to go for, unless you really want a zone guy like that badly, is the way to go for a cornerback. We're now getting down to the nitty-gritty. It's the final position, strong safety, which of course is going to have hybrid, zone, and run support. This is actually probably the biggest positional question mark that I've had for a long time in Madden. I usually just go zone because I want my guys to have good coverage, but I'm going to finally for sure see, is it really what you want? Do you want hybrid? Do you want run support? I think run support is by far the one you don't want to do, but hybrid might actually give zone a run for its money. All right, I actually seen some pretty damn good upgrades. Let's see the end-all be-all here. We have 66 upgrade points. Man coverage was 11. Zone coverage was 13. Play rec at 15. Pursuit at 10. Awareness at 5, tackle at 12. That was a very good set of upgrades. Or let's say, am I going to be let down by the zone coverage? I am. I actually am. One more zone coverage here, but 0 man coverage upgrades. Tackle was half as good as well. I mean, all we got here was 1 to excel, which could, I mean, obviously, we're only seeing one upgrade. We're not seeing like +4, +5, so that could just be complete coincidence. You would also argue, in general, that you would think that it would actually require more speed for hybrid because you're going to have that man coverage, zone coverage. You probably don't need speed, excel, change direction, and all that stuff as much. Yeah, hybrid, I think, absolutely destroys zone coverage. All right, let's see run support. We get 53, so it's somewhere in between the two. Zone coverage of 4, man coverage of 5, block shed of 2. Yeah, you're just not getting block shed upgrades for a safety. Yeah, I mean, the hit power is there, I suppose, but yeah, I would say that hybrid, I mean, hands down, easily takes the cake for special teamers. And don't worry, we have not forgotten. We are now, oh my god, I didn't even realize that we don't have enough points. I guess we're only going to be doing 5 for kicker punter, which I think is enough. It's enough. And the reason why I say that is I think that this year's kicker punter thing is going to be similar to the speed / throw power upgrades, where you're just not going to see them. I think they're going to be like, you know what? Kick power shouldn't be something that upgrades often. It is a kicker. It is a guy that shouldn't really be able to improve his kick power. He can improve his accuracy, but not really his kick power. And so far, that's what I'm seeing. I might as well do all 6 upgrades. I don't think you're going to see power upgrade. Oh! I was wrong. I'm glad I did that extra upgrade. So out of 6 upgrades, we've seen 1. So we can maybe argue that every 5 to 6 upgrade points, you might see a kick power. But as far as what we actually got through 6 upgrades, we got 9 accuracy, 8 awareness, and a kick power. All right, so we went with accuracy, and ironically enough, we actually got less accuracy through 6 upgrade points than when we went kick power. I think it's pretty safe to say that you want to go kick power, as it's comparable accuracy-wise, and we actually got a physical kick power upgrade when doing it. And then we have the hay ball. We have the punter position, which... I mean, this could go either way. I mean, it's a punter, so will EA really care that much? 4 to accuracy, which is really impressive. And, of course, he gets an ability slot there, so 7 to accuracy now, with kick power, mind you. 9 to accuracy. Any kick power upgrades? There it is. 9, so 11 kick accuracy, 1 kick power through 4 upgrades, and then another accuracy. So, to finish it out, power upgrades for the punter position, 1 to kick power, 4 to awareness, 12 to accuracy. And as expected, power upgrade is just the best by far. We don't even get half. We get half of the accuracy doing accuracy. For the most part, we haven't really been able to expose EA, but man, did kicker and punter really expose EA. How are you getting more accuracy upgrades doing power? I don't understand that. But that is basically... every upgrade kind of archetype average in the game. If we were going to kind of reflect on what is best, quarterback, I think, is field general. Running back, it is your style. I think power back, you can almost argue is better because you're getting that break tackle, but it's really what you want. Never do receiving, though, obviously. A wide receiver, it's obviously playmaker. There's no question about it. Tight end, believe it or not, was possession, seemingly. And then for the offensive line position, it seems like pass protector is ass. And then just choose what you want for the other side. Agile was pretty damn good. Power was pretty damn good. Just choose whatever type of blocker you want. If it's an interior guy, probably go power. If it's an exterior guy like a tackle, go with finesse, aka agile. D-line, it seems like you kind of get a good upgrade no matter what you choose. Finesse seems to be slightly better, though, for left end and DT. Cornerback, of course, you want man coverage. It seems like the best, but zone isn't terrible either. Slot isn't even that bad, but I would say man coverage, then zone coverage, then slot. Then we move on to safety. I kind of did this in opposite order. Safety, hybrid seems by far the best, without a doubt. Outside linebacker, it's going to be what your guy is. If it's an edge rusher, finesse, power move, those are pretty equal. I would still argue finesse is better. And then once again, if you're their coverage or off ball, it's what you want more. Do you want block shed or pass coverage? Pass coverage seem to be a little bit more juicy, but you're not going to get block shed, and then vice versa for the most part. Middle linebacker still seems to be field general, and then of course for kicker punter, it's kick power. Also didn't really look at fullback, didn't really talk about fullback, but that's kind of up to you as well. I would argue utility was a little bit better, but I think it's up to, it really doesn't matter. It's a damn fullback, to be honest. But that is going to be it for our, experiment of which archetype is the best upgrade for each position. Let me know what you guys have had luck with. Have you seen any speed or throw power upgrades? I haven't yet, I don't believe. I really don't believe I have seen one. Maybe in a rebuild we've seen one, and I kind of didn't really pay attention to it because it's obviously like one upgrade, maybe two if you're lucky. And yeah, that's pretty much that. If you guys have any, other kind of, I would say, questions, you want to see answered through video form, let me know in the comment section below, and I don't see why we can't do it. I really wanted to do this one because, it helps, we've got another 11 months of this game, so it's nice to know, for the most part, which upgrades we should be going for each position. I think we know that for the most part right now. It's not very it's not really that balanced for a lot of positions like we talked about. You know, it's just there's some positions that are just so clear-cut better than the others that you pretty much would be selling not doing that, especially, obviously, the big example of Playmaker on wide receiver. Regardless, though, if you guys did enjoy, maybe leave a like. Subscribe if you're new, if you're not new. Do appreciate your continued support on the channel. You got emotional there. That's really trying this damn room. Well, you know, all that stuff. Second channel, Pkr Plays. Twitter/Jeromepkr. That's about it. We'll have a Patriots franchise video a little bit later today and probably a rebuild tomorrow. Regardless, thanks for watching. I hope you guys come back for next video. But until next video,